everybody. Welcome to another episode of Random Conversations. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Noel.
And we're back again to talk about some randomness. So you had sent me an article from the New York Times about a young man that was consulting with Chat GPT about other things, and it led to him ending his life. So I'm just going to read the article really quickly to give you guys like a understanding, more context of what we're about to go into. So the young man's name is Adam. So it says Adam loved basketball, Japanese anime, video games, and dogs, and was known by his friends as a prankster. But in the last month of his life, he was withdrawn, his family said. After Adam took his life, his parents sought answers and turned to Adam's iPhone, thinking his text messages or social media apps might hold some clues about what happened. Instead, Chat GPT, where they found some according to legal papers. When Chat GPT detects a prompt indicative of mental distress or self-harm, it has been trained to encourage the user to contact a helpline. As Adam began talking to the chatbot at the end of November about feeling emotionally numb and seeing no meaning to his life, it responded with words of empathy, support, and hope, and encouraged him to think about the things that he did feel was meaningful to him. But in January, when Adam requested information about specific suicide methods, Chat GPT supplied it. And I believe you were mentioning, because that's where the article cuts off, that he attempted to kill himself, but Chat he failed, and
he tried to hang himself.
Yeah, and he asked Chat GPT after you saw the lines around his neck if it's noticeable. Chat GPT said yes. I believe you told me he went around his mom, and his mom didn't even notice. So that probably that fueled his fire to kill himself even more, and eventually he did. Yeah. So that goes back to AI. I know I said last week we weren't going to talk about AI or aliens anymore.
And now she's bringing it up, right?
But this is totally different, and this is what I was saying about the pros and cons of Chat GPT. They're using this as if it's a real person with feelings, a real person who's biased. This is a machine you're talking to, and I don't understand why people go to this for advice or for help. It just doesn't make sense to me. You go to a professional. You go to a professional. I don't know why people keep talking to Chat GPT. I really don't. And excuse me if I sound a little stuffed up.
No, when I first saw this article, the headline is what grabbed me, because it seemed that Chat GPT is this big thing now. AI is the wave now, and everybody's using it.
For advice, like it's a therapist.
So this is the first time I saw that OpenAI, which is responsible for Chat GPT, is being sued openly. Right, this is the first time an AI company is being sued openly for negligence. Right. After reading the article, though, I don't necessarily blame the AI tool as much as I would put a certain level of blame on the parents for not having a finger on the pulse of their child. I only say that because after he died was when they decided to go through his phone, and then they found the conversations between him and Chat GPT, right? At any point in time, you could have checked in with your kid to kind of see how they're doing, show an interest in their lives and have a conversation. I'm not saying that you need to have that conversation every week, every day, but periodically just have a check-in with your kid just to see where they're at, right? Have a heart-to-heart.
Especially if they're teenagers.
Right. And the kid, he seemed very disconnected from his family. He mentioned that when his first suicide attempt, or the one prior to him finally
killing himself.
Unaliving himself.
Unaliving. Right? I don't like that term. He killed himself.
He had tried to hang himself and failed, but the noose marks were around his neck. So he asked ChatGPT, he said, is this noticeable? And ChatGPT told him, yeah. But, he said, and it also said, if someone who knows you sees it, they might have questions, right? So he told him, if you want to hide it, wear a high collar shirt or hoodie. And then in a later conversation with Chat GPT, the kid said that he went around his mother with his neck out in the hopes that she would notice it and it would spark some sort of conversation, some sort of back and forth between him and his mother. And it didn't happen. He stated that she basically didn't even notice it, right? So that speaks to me that the parents weren't really paying too much attention to their child, right? And I get it. Life is hectic, especially in the days and times that we live in now, where, you know, there's a lot of uncertainty with what's going to happen in the future. I don't know what issues the parents were dealing with, whether it be finance or emotional issues or whatever, but there are a lot of things that kind of take your attention away from your children, right? No, it's real life. You have to understand the whole situation. You always got to,
doesn't matter what you're going through, you always got to be checking in with your kids, especially as a teenager. With your kids being teenagers, you have to check in on them, because I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of children are killing themselves,
or killing others, like that shooting, school shooting.
Exactly. A lot of teenagers and young adults are killing themselves. It's imperative as a parent that you have to check in with your children.
Right. And you give them these phones.
I don't care what you're going through. You got to check in on them.
A lot of these parents, they want to be their kids' friends. You give them these phones and you let them lock their doors. I didn't have a door for my room until I was like, I think 15, 16. You know, and we couldn't lock any doors. Like, my parents had free reign to come in my room if they wanted to. They respected my privacy when the door was closed and would knock, but it was never locked, right? I think we give these kids way too much autonomy, you know, and I think it's because it's convenient for us as parents. Like, you give them the tablet and you're like, go ahead, mess around with the tablet. You know, they're fine, they're occupied, and then we go about our business as parents, and, you know, it's just another day. We don't give it a second thought, not thinking that the kid might feel neglected. The kid is yearning for our attention, but we're not giving it to them. We're giving them the tablet in the hopes that the tablet will distract them.
And the tablet is making everything worse. Right.
We have to pay attention to our children because there's just too much at stake. Kids going to school and shooting up the school for whatever reasons, breaking up with girlfriends, don't know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. I'm not necessarily sure. They didn't really say what this kid was dealing with that ultimately killed himself, and now his parents are suing Chat GPT. But clearly he felt that he was being neglected, that the people that he loved didn't pay enough attention to him.
Did you mention the fact that Chat GPT gave him tips on how to kill himself at the very end?
Chat GPT.
You were like, oh yeah, that will work.
Yeah, ChatGPT told him that'll work, but this is my thing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
My thing is,
he's like, yeah, you know, it's like ChatGPT gave up. Like, yeah, you do what you want.
Because how many times?
How you gonna ask me this you've been asking me this for months. You know what? Go ahead, do what you want.
How many times,
I already told you go seek some help.
Wait, but how many times you speak with a friend and a friend is telling you the same problem over and over and over and over and over again, and you giving them advice and advice and advice, and then finally you just like, you know what? Just do what the hell you want to do, because clearly
this is a different situation, though.
No, I'm not. I'm saying, like, 'cause my thing is, the way I look at Chat GPT, I look at it as a tool, not a friend, right?
A lot of people are blurring the lines, right?
But they're blurring the lines. But is that a Chat GPT issue or is that a human issue? I think
it's a human issue.
Right. We like,
but we're the ones that are mainly using it.
Oh, yes, it's made for humans.
Exactly.
And
we're not. Everybody's different.
Human beings need to be held accountable for their actions too. Like, it's like when people talk about money being the root of all evil, and I hate that, because human beings created money. Human beings gave money its value, right? Money has no decision-making power. It can't think for itself. It can do nothing but what you take it and use it to do, right? So when I feel like human beings like to pass the buck onto other things instead of shining a light on ourselves and trying to fix ourselves. That's why we keep having these issues. Whatever we invent, whatever we make, we always have to worry about the backlash, the potential dangers of it, because us as people are flawed individuals.
Can we make Chat GPT? Can we create a way for them not to, like? Can we? What's that word I'm looking for? There's a way where certain questions that are being asked Chat GPT can't answer because it's too much of a personal question.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're going to look into that now because they said before that if
like an
someone's
abridged
asking,
system,
right? They said if
like to
somebody's
cut out
asking,
some things.
well, they said if somebody's asking specific type of questions, like in this instance, to harm themselves, ChatGPT is already like programmed to tell you to seek help.
Yeah, but it's like the more questions he asked, the more they answered without telling him to seek help.
And this is the thing. They're not really showing you the entire conversation between him and ChatGPT for you to understand why he was getting those answers as well. Because if it's programmed to tell you to seek help and it told him on multiple occasions to seek help, I don't know in what way he was phrasing things that led up to it giving him the type of answers that he was getting. Because they're only showing you certain clips.
Things that they need to fix on their end, whoever created. I think it's OpenAI.
Yeah, OpenAI. They're the ones that are getting sued.
Yeah, so they have to create a way to where certain questions that are being asked in terms of people's welfare or mental state, just tell them seek help, seek help, seek help. Don't even tell them, that would be good for you to hang yourself with a noose or what. It shouldn't even have gotten that far. There should be certain limitations in that system that prohibits people to ask those questions, and it could divert them to another area. Like call 911 if you feel sick. Go to a therapist if you feel a certain way. It should be programmed that way. Then they won't be getting sued.
But ultimately, I think if you ask me, a lot of the blame has to fall on the parents, but I feel like the parents are dealing with a lot of grief right now. And so they're aiming their anger at the situation towards OpenAI.
Yeah, but
ultimately, as I read the article and it shows me that he came to you and showed you his neck, even OpenAI, so like, he took a picture. I mean, even ChatGPT saw it. He took a picture of himself and ChatGPT was like, that ain't good. Then you go in front of your mother who's sitting there, according to him, like, I don't know, I wasn't there in the room when he approached his mother, but according to him, his neck was visible for her to see, and she just completely ignored it, right? So that's just a shortcoming right there on the parent. And if the fact that you waited until death to look into his life and to check his phone is another red flag in itself.
You're searching for answers,
right?
And it's answers that you're not liking. So now you have to point your frustration in other areas.
You know, as a parent, sometimes you have to think about all the things that you don't tell people that you might be going through, right? Just because they're children and they're not going to work and doing a 9 to 5 doesn't mean that they're not stressed out, right? Their job is school, right?
Yeah.
Their relationships are very real to them, even though we look at it and we try to marginalize it and say like, oh, it's just puppy love, is, you know,
it's real to them.
It's not real, you know, it's just high school, you know, but it's real to them. And that same feeling you have about your adult relationships, they have about their adolescent relationships. And you have to respect it.
They're probably stressed with school, trying to make good grades.
Right. You have to think, what pressures am I putting on them, right? To be successful, you know, because we like to, as parents, to project our wants and needs and goals onto our children, right? So we don't really know what that's doing to them internally. So, you know, I just take this whole situation as a marker.
And then you add social media to that. They see all these children or their peers getting what they want. They're excelling in school. They're getting into top colleges, and they're just there, just trying to hang on by a thread. That could cause them to have some mental issues later down the line as well.
So let's just take this as a lesson to be learned, and to, you know, go home and pay a little bit more attention to our kids. Because I know after I read it, you know, I was like, I know I probably won't check in every single day, but I got to do at least monthly check-ins with my kids and stuff like that, just to see where they're at and like kind of just pay attention every now and then.
I do it with my son. I'm like, how you feeling? You feeling all right? How you feeling? He's like, I'm feeling happy. I said, good. Or I'm feeling sad. I'm like, okay, then what's wrong? And then try to figure out after that. But sticking on the subject with Chat GPT, there was the latest episode of South Park that had came out, and it was shining a light on Chat GPT. So basically, so Randy, who stands father for all the people who watch South Park, he started a marijuana farm, and all the workers got swiped up by ICE. So he went to went to Chat GPT asking how can his business survive, and it was the most radical ideas. But Chat GPT went along and said, "Yeah, that will work. Let's make a business plan and see how everything goes." So any radical idea, Chat GPT would tell him that it's a good idea, and he was like, "Oh, we're making money, baby." It's basically shining a light on how foolish chat. Well, no, I'm not gonna.
People are.
Yeah, I'll put the onus on people more so the program, because you're asking.
It seemed like ChatGPT is just like the ultimate hype man in your pocket.
Yeah. So,
but me personally, like I use ChatGPT, and I, like say on Friday I had a fantasy football league draft, right? So I asked it. I said, "What is the ideal way to draft positions?" Draft by position in the fantasy football draft. So it was like basically telling me that, you should prioritize running backs and wide receivers in the first like four or 5 rounds. You shouldn't look for a QB till like round 6 or 7. And so it was giving me tips like that. So I use it like that, but I've never asked it, pointed questions about
businesses.
Well, take this show for instance. I asked it how, tips on how to get this show more exposure and stuff like that. But and it gives you a list. It gives you a nice little rundown, a little tips and tricks that you could try, right? But it didn't tell me anything crazy. But I didn't ask it anything outlandish to see what it would say. I think we should do like a little study to see exactly how crazy this
later on in the episode, Randy's wife, because she felt like she was being put on the back burner because everything was just him and Chat GPT, and it kind of like reminded me of the episode that we talked about where the man married or asked the Chat GPT bot to marry him.
Oh yeah, that was in a South Park episode.
No, this was real life. So I felt like South Park was trying to emulate that.
South Park probably was using that as part of their whole thing.
Yeah. So because he had a better relationship with Chat GPT than his own wife. So his wife, she went on Chat GPT and she said, "So I have an idea. I want to make salad into French fries." And then Chat GPT, or is it French fries into salad? One or the other. And Chat GPT was like, "That's a great idea. You could put healthy food along with junk food and it will make, the person feel better. They're getting the best of both worlds. We'll conduct a business plan and see where it takes us," or some shit like that. So she's like, And people are utilizing this every day. Whatever outlandish stuff they could think of, they're asking Chat GPT, and Chat GPT is giving them validation for it.
I don't know if I want to take South Park verbatim as how Chat GPT
They always ridicule
I would advise,
whatever is going on in the world at the time.
Play with the app and see what, especially as a parent, if you know your kids are going to be using it, you should know your way around it, kind of ask it questions and see what it spits out. But because South Park is always going to give you like the most outlandish versions of the real thing. But it is scary how people are using it and people are finding companionship with Chat GPT. And I remember a couple weeks ago when version 5 came online, a lot of people were upset because version 5 felt
What's version 5?
Like the latest update.
Oh.
Right? So people felt a little bit upset that Chat GPT seemed a little bit more robotic. People were saying that, my therapist is gone and all that stuff. People were treating it as an unbiased party and asking it like legitimate questions. We also spoke about the Prime Minister
of Sweden
who uses it, but he doesn't solely. I feel like you can use it like that, just for facts, figures, and numbers and stuff like that to kind of get a cold calculation of what an emotionless thing would tell you to do, right? And juxtapose it to your confidants and people that you put in place to help you make these decisions and kind of make the best decision possible, right? But me personally, I wouldn't use it as a sounding board for my problems.
Yeah, and people are using it maybe because they don't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah,
which is sad.
I'm starting to get the gist that a lot of people are
Don't
lonely.
They don't have anybody to talk to about their problems. So they use Chat GPT as an outlet. Oh my God, there's so much going on. So much going on. But I want to, like I usually do, switch gears. So I stumbled upon a video on Instagram, and it was a young lady and her husband. And the young lady asked her husband, "What is it that you love about me?"
No, it wasn't her husband.
It was a man?
It wasn't her husband. She said she was dating a guy for a while.
I thought you said it was a husband.
Well, let's play the video so that they can see it.
I used to date guys years ago. I was in a relationship with this guy, like a full-fledged relationship, lived together, everything. And one day he walked past me. It was an average day. He said, "Babe, I'm about to go. I love you." And I said, "Why?" I said, "No, why do you love me? Out of all the women in the world," I'm like, "Why?" He said, He thought long and hard. And I think that's what hurt my feelings so much, the fact that he thought long and hard about the answer. And he said, "Because you're basic." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You're basic. You don't get your nails done. You don't get your hair done." He said, you do your own thing. You're very natural. You cook, you clean, you take care of kids, you take care of me." He said, "So with that, I know you're going to be loyal and you're not going to go anywhere because nobody else is probably going to choose you." And I said, "Wow." I said, "So if that's the case, why did you choose me? Because all these things was the same when we met." He said, "Oh, it's simple." And I'm thinking he can say something romantic or magical. He said, "Because I've had all those other women. I've had the beautiful, the glamorous, the ones that dress nice, and the ones that get their makeup and stuff done." He said, that's not where it's at. They're not going to take care of home and the family and do the things they need to do to keep a man happy.
Yeah, so that was the video of the young lady basically saying how she kind of she felt bad that her man at the time didn't think of something right off the bat to tell her when she asked him, why do you love me? And then he took a long pause and he had to really think. I mean, if I was her, I would probably be like, "Damn, if you love me, something should come up right away. Like, I love you because of this. I love you because of that." And to find out that he only is dealing with her because
she's low maintenance.
Yeah, she's low maintenance and quote unquote basic, and she's motherly. She's maternal. Motherly, maternal, same thing. And she doesn't have the upkeep as other women might require. That's kind of like a low blow.
Yeah.
So I understand where she's coming from and why she felt the way she did, and she has all right to.
Yeah, I think she was definitely upset because he called her basic. Basically, he's like, "There's nothing extraordinary."
I feel like being called basic is
in today's age, being called basic is terrible.
Yeah.
Because you basic is just like you just don't do. There's nothing. You're
just like blah. You're just there.
Yeah, you're bland. There's nothing great about you. You know, he's just looking. That's why I always tell people, it's important to, think before you ask questions, because you might not want to hear the answers that come out of people's mouth. In this particular instance, she didn't like what her man at the time had to say. She said, "Why do you love me?" He's leaving for work. He said, "I love you." Typical.
Why?
Leaving.
Why do you love me?
Why do you love me? And I hate when my wife asks me that question. It's like, "Do you love me? Why?" I'm like, "Oh God, why?" Like, because I feel like every time she asks me, you can't say the same answer.
You have to think of something.
You have to think of something else, or something else, or something else. Like, why you keep putting me on the spot? But in this particular instance, he took time to think about it. Like she said, he thought about it long and hard.
He didn't want to hurt her feelings, but
and he still turned around and hurt her feelings because he called her basic. He said, "There's nothing special about you." Basically, he said that because you don't put in all this time and effort into makeup and you're natural and all this stuff, and that she's motherly and she's a homemaker and stuff like that. That's why he loves her. He basically equates being feminine and being a homemaker and a woman being maternal to her being low maintenance. If you're high maintenance, he's saying that high maintenance women aren't capable of creating a home and mothering children. All they want to do is be out all the time, and you gotta take them to
which is
the
not
most
true.
bougie spots, and you gotta make sure that their nails and their hair is upkept and all that stuff. I think that there's a stereotype of that type of woman, and a lot of men look at women who are done up all the time and doing the most all the time as women who aren't really feminine and motherly. Me personally, I mean, well, as people in general, we as much as we try to say we don't believe in stereotypes and you don't want to hold people to stereotypes, you just can't help it. Sometimes you look at someone and you automatically make assumptions about what this person is about, right? Until you take them out on a date and you guys get to actually know each other, and then you realize, okay, well, you know, she isn't all about the superficial. There's a lot more to her. She's a lot deeper than she appeared, right? So in that sense, I don't think it was fair, his assessment, right? Because some women just aren't into makeup. That doesn't mean that they're not complex. That doesn't mean that they still require a lot, right? In her particular instance, she didn't require a lot, and that's what he liked, right? And he stated,
and I wonder why the relationship didn't last.
Right, because it didn't seem that he loved her for her. It seemed that he loved her for what she could provide, and that she was easy to please, and it didn't cost him a lot to do it, right?
I don't understand why men would put themselves in a predicament like that. Because if you don't love that person deeply, then what's the point?
Yeah, chances are that situation is going to fail.
Yeah.
And
you're wasting your time and you're wasting her time. She could be with somebody who would appreciate all of her and her basicness. Why are you wasting this young lady's time? I wonder how long they were together. I wonder who broke it off.
But this is my thing.
I wonder a lot of things.
I'm thinking, because he's going off to work and he says, I love you, right? And it seemed like a very typical day. It seemed like there wasn't really too many issues up until that point.
Until she asked that question.
Right. Because it seemed like when she asked the question, like, I don't know if this is just me looking at that video and making a lot of assumptions, but what else can I do, right? But it seemed that she was happy and she kind of felt lucky, and she was like, well, why do you love me? Of all the women you could have, why do you love me, right? And then he just gave it to her straight.
I wonder, like, what was his, here we go with finances. I wonder what his financial status was.
But what does that matter?
I'm just wondering, because why wouldn't he choose somebody that he, like, I wonder what his type is. Let's forget financial status. Like, what's his type? Mm-hmm. Do you like the high maintenance women? Do you like the low maintenance? Like, well, what is your type? Well, that's what I really want to know, because obviously I wonder who broke it off. There's a lot of questions I have that we don't have the answers to.
Well, we know one thing, that he did date those type of women, and he realized that he wasn't going to get the type of woman that he wanted unless
why was that?
It was in a basic package. Basically.
Why was that? Because he could only afford the basic package.
I don't know if he could only afford the basic package,
or unless he didn't want to spend money on somebody that's. But if
you got to think, you got to
look at it. You're falling asleep with this person every night. Mm-hmm. You got to look at somebody that you're equally attract. Like, there's an attraction there. Mm-hmm. You can't just be going to sleep and just be like, all right, I guess I'll just settle with this. You actually got to like and love the person. Because it's not fair to her that you're wasting all this time and you're only keeping her around because she's basic or she doesn't require a lot. Yeah, it's not fair.
Because she did say that they had been dating for a while. I think she said several years or something like that.
Several years is a long time when she could have been found somebody else. Mm-hmm. That's not fair to her. And you wasted her, whoever that man was, he wasted her time.
Well, did he? We don't, like I said, you have to be careful, because maybe he was perfectly content with her the way that she was. He was looking for, it seems to me that
if he was perfectly content with her, it wouldn't take him that long to come up with an answer as to why he loved her.
Maybe he didn't love her. Maybe he loved, like I said, he loved the things that she could do for him, and she loved
wasting time. Why would you want to be in a relationship with somebody you're not in love with? Well, that don't make sense.
But some people may not be. Some people think about
is this a lavender marriage?
Right. Some people think about relationships practically.
Do you know what that is?
No. What is that?
Lavender marriage is when a heterosexual woman, marries a homosexual man.
Oh, I didn't get that from that. That's a jump.
I know.
Well, did they say they was from Atlanta?
I don't know where they were. They were from. I don't think she mentioned any type of location.
And she didn't say if he was black or white. Just it
was very ambiguous. So she just gave us the situation.
She just said she was with a dude, and this is what the dude said, right? But I think, a lot of people need to stop looking at people and judging a book from just off of his cover.
Yeah, what they say, beauty is skin deep. So it's past what you see.
Well, it ain't even about beauty, because there's a lot of women that are beautiful without makeup. And there's a lot of women that are beautiful that believe in the natural hair lifestyle. And to think that just because you're into the natural hair lifestyle doesn't mean that you're high maintenance is a lie, because it's way more grueling, it's way more upkeep when dealing with natural hair, right? I personally think he was looking at relationships from a practical stance of like what he can get out of it, and how much is gonna cost him, right? Because apples to apples, bless you, apples to apples. If I have two women, right, I know ultimately I want to have children, and I want a woman that's gonna be motherly and make a home and all of that stuff and support me and be kind to me and stuff like that. And so I have two women here. I have one basic woman, right, who's low maintenance. She's motherly. I know she can make a home and all of that stuff and all of that. And then I have the high maintenance chick who all I really like about her is her looks, right? And I'm spending out all my money on this.
Maybe
on
you
this
need to
woman,
get rid of the both of them.
right? I'm spending all my money
because you don't love either.
But who says he's looking for love? As I said, he's looking for practicality.
So what's the point of being with somebody if you're not looking for
love?
love?
But my thing is, she was happy. She was happy till she asked the question, right? And he was perfectly content in his situation.
I don't get.
Right?
No. I'm sorry. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
It all depends on what.
Don't get in a relationship just to be content. You gotta actually love the person you're dealing with. What is the point?
But it's all about what.
What is the point?
It's all about what he was looking for. Not everybody is looking for,
Then he might as well just be
love.
single. Adopt if you want kids, and you be the nurturing parent.
But that's not what he wants.
Then listen, if I get up with a man and he tell me he's content, basically he's not deeply in love with it. What are you doing here?
I think you're confusing contentness with a lack of love. Someone could be like, once
he wasn't in love with that lady.
He wasn't in love.
He wasn't in there. That's the point.
I'm just talking about your
That's
words,
the
because
point.
you're talking about if he says he's content with you. I think contentness is what we all seek in life, to finally be content. To finally
in a
be able
relationship, you have to love the person.
Right, but you can love somebody and be like, I'm content. I'm good here. I don't need to go nowhere else. I found what I wanted. I'm content. I'm happy. I feel a lot of people.
If that's the case, he wasn't fully content.
But how do you know?
He wasn't fully content.
It seemed to me that he got what he wanted, because he said he dated all types of women, and this is the type of woman that he prefers. This is the type of woman that can build the life out that he wants, right? So she just didn't like the way that he articulated it. And I'll be the first one to say he articulated that really badly. He could have said that in so many different ways. I'd be like, I love how simple you are, how easygoing you are. I love your feminine energy, your motherly nature. You make our house a home, blah, blah, blah. But he went and said, basically, you don't put too much effort into your hair, makeup, you natural, you basic, and I don't have to worry about you going anywhere because ain't nobody checking for you, right?
That's horrible.
Right. That was just
that
bad.
means if he wasn't in a relationship with her, he wouldn't be checking for her.
Well, he did check for her. He picked her. He picked her. He picked her for those reasons.
Nah.
It just sucks that there are people out there that are calculating like that, right? Because she's clearly looking for somebody who could see her for the beautiful person that she is.
I still say he doesn't love her based off that answer.
No, I don't. I'm not disagreeing with you that he didn't love her. I think
because why would you tell somebody you love that?
I think he was content with what he had in her and what she provided to him. Right? I think he loved that aspect of her.
Is basically saying he's saying that he settled. That's basically what he's saying to her face. That I settled for you. You were you don't give me problems. You're low maintenance. You're basic.
Well, I hate to tell you, a lot of people in this world end up settling, right?
That's why a lot of people,
for whatever reason,
now the tide is changing, and a lot of people are not settling. And if people don't check off certain boxes, they're just gonna be alone.
Yeah.
Listen, you have to be okay with being single.
Okay, but so. He's with this woman.
I'm not going to be with nobody who's going to settle for me.
But he's with this woman.
If you're settling for me, then that's not it.
But he's with this woman, and she checked 8 out of his 10 boxes. To him, she just wasn't fine
He's
as hell.
being selfish.
Why?
He's
Because
being selfish.
he didn't prioritize looks in the relationship. Is what I'm
He's
saying.
being selfish.
No, what he was a jerk for articulating what he articulated to her, right? Because he could have told her in a
He
way
basically
that made
told
her
her
feel
how
low,
he felt,
feel good
and
about
it was
herself.
cut and dry. Like, he basically told her, "This is how I feel."
Yeah.
He's not putting
He
her
said- he said-
feelings
he
into
said- he
it.
said- he said-
Nobody wants to be called basic. Nobody.
Nobody. Mm-mm.
That's derogatory at this time.
But he sought basic, is what I'm saying. That's what he was looking for. He said, I had over the top, I had extra. I prefer basic.
You know what? If sullied that, if he said, "I'm basic too,"
He said, I want HBO. Just give me freaking News 12 and
I'm
good.
basic too. We could both be basic together, and maybe she would have been like, "Okay."
But maybe and that's
Because there's men out here that's basic as well.
Right, that's another thing too. He's like, I don't want to go to a Michelin star restaurant. I want to go to Dino BBQs. So he's like, that's where I feel comfortable at. That's the type of environment that I like to dine in, right? So that's, just because he called her basic and he shows that he has a preference for basic women, and it might mean that he doesn't have caviar taste either. This is where he feels the most comfortable with a woman who kind of shares his kind of likes and dislikes and has similar tastes. Only thing is, the way he articulated it, is terrible. It's terrible.
I wouldn't.
But they're not together
Personally,
anyway. So
exactly. Personally,
It is.
I wouldn't be with somebody who told me that. I'm like, "Excuse me? All right. No. Then what am I here for?"
That pissed you off, huh?
It's not pissing. It's just horrible that he wasted her time. Because inside, I'm pretty sure she doesn't feel that way about herself.
Well,
But for him to feel that way about her, I'm pretty sure that made her mad and pissed her off.
but I'm pretty sure that there were signs. It goes back to what I said in an earlier episode about listening to what your partner says, and it'll tell you everything you need to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he shows signs, because to be able to speak with that kind of bluntness,
Yeah.
it speaks to. I can only imagine what
That
other
probably
conversations they had where-
encapsulated that something
Yeah.
probably drove her to ask him that question, and his answer encapsulated everything that she needed to know and how he felt about her. So there has
I wonder how long after that conversation they broke up. That would be
yeah.
interesting. It's like, you don't even like
There's
me.
so many questions that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get into this next topic. You had shared this with me. There was a podcast, and I believe it was a panel of trans women talking to the host. I don't know if the host was trans or not, but the question was, when is it a good time for trans women to tell a man that she has been dating that she's trans?
Should have been on a first date, maybe even before the first date.
Yeah, in times of the first date. Because if you meet somebody right off the bat, I don't know how comfortable they would feel to just outright say, "Okay, I'm trans. Is this going to be an issue?" I believe once they sit down and have a conversation, that's when it should come out. First date. Don't wait months. Don't wait till you're about to be intimate with this person to outright tell them, "Okay, before we do this, I got to tell you I'm trans," because that's how you get.
That's how people get killed.
Yeah, that's how people get murdered, because the man is so enraged that he loses his mind, and then the person ultimately loses their life.
Me personally, if you're trans and you're really having this discussion, and the words out of your mouth isn't like the first date or during the talking phase, it speaks to me that you're not necessarily fully comfortable with who you are. Because
But look at the stigma that they have.
right, but it's the life you chose. Well,
Yeah, but it's not
well,
accepted.
I'm gonna
it's partially accepted.
rephrase that, because it's not necessarily the life that they
Because
chose.
they want
that's
men
how they
and-
that's how they actually feel inside, and you can't control that. I'm pretty sure a lot of them would want to just live a normal, happy life, but this is
Think
how they
about
feel. and
who's
this
looking
is
for them. Gay men are into men. They're not checking for trans women.
right? But still, you can't.
I mean, there's a certain.
You can't
there's certain,
take choice out of.
There's
out of
certain
the
men that
hands
look for
of the
trans
person
women.
that
They
you're
just gotta
dealing with.
find it.
Right. You can't take choice out of people's hands. You wanna purchase a house, you get a choice in a loan. You wanna buy a pair of sneakers, you get to choose what you want to buy. You know what I'm saying? If I as a heterosexual man am looking to settle down with someone, I get a choice in that too. Don't take choice away from people. And it's not even that you're taking choices, it's deception. You're not being honest, and you're fooling them into believing that you're something that you're not.
Yeah.
Right.
They're going to find out eventually.
Right.
When it's time for you to have, if they got the sex change surgery, when it's time to have kids, can't have kids, wondering why.
Right.
When it's time to be intimate, there's certain parts that you were supposed to have and you don't.
Mm-hmm. You can't play with people's emotions like that. You just can't. I know it's hard. It's tough. It's a tough conversation to have. I can only imagine, but that conversation needs to be had. And if the person is for you, then you're good.
You never know. They probably overlook the fact that you're a trans woman. Mm-hmm. They probably overlook it because they like you as a person. They're like, all right, I could put that to the side. But then there's certain men, you just can't lie to them like that. Yeah. Because that's not what their orientation is. They probably never had an inclination or an imagination of being with somebody that's a trans woman. So you can't mess with their emotions like that. So the quicker you are to being honest is the best. Exactly. They probably, and another thing, I feel like sometimes they hold off on telling other men their orientation or what they are is because the rejection that they probably get on a repetitive basis. Mm-hmm. Like they find a man, because some of them, they be looking good. Some of them, they look fine. Mm-hmm. And then the men that come along, and then when they tell them that they're trans, they automatically get rejected. So it's probably like PTSD, kind of. Yeah, but like the repetitive rejection.
That's something that you have to deal with.
I'm pretty sure they feel a way.
Men deal with rejection all the time, and we're not even being deceitful about who we are, right? A man will walk up to 10 women in the street and try to get a number, and maybe one or two will bite on average, right? If that, right? But that doesn't stop a man from pursuing, right? Now I know the male experience is different from the trans experience, but at the same time, you have to deal,
because I don't know if women deal with their problems in a healthy way. Women deal with rejection like that. Women the same way that men do.
Well, women don't deal with rejection really well because
because
of societal
and they're
norms.
trans women, so they have the mindset of a woman. So when they get rejected repeatedly, it's different than if a man gets rejected repeatedly.
You can't lie. There's no good excuse for lying about your situation.
And that's what I'm saying. There isn't.
There's no good excuse.
I feel like if you look at all the factors that go into why they withhold that information.
I'm empathetic as to why they do that, but I'm here to say that it's not right.
It isn't right, but
period.
You gotta, there's other factors that goes into why they withhold that information. Mm-hmm. So.
I just want to, because we were talking about kind of like juxtaposing like the male experience and rejection with trans, and I started thinking in my head about like, double standards and all this stuff, and it just brought me back to Sha'Carri Richardson, and I just remembered I read somewhere that she this is so random, whatever.
Yeah, that's the point of the show. Keep it going.
She got a Nike deal.
She did? Uh-huh. And you said she wasn't going to get no deal. Look at that.
Yeah. Look at that. That's so
He said she wasn't going to get a deal. Hey, she got a deal before. What's his face? What's his name again?
Who, Christian?
No, the other dude, Noah Lyles.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
Who you think is more of a polarizing figure?
I really don't care about either one of them.
All right.
Neither one of them.
They don't pay my bills.
No, it's not even that. They just, I don't know. I don't really think they're not dominant. You know what I'm saying? When you think about track and field comes on, it comes to the forefront so sparingly that you have to be dominant in order for me to really care. Right? We've had some really dominant freaking track and field stars for our country. And these two are not that.
She got the deal after everything? Wow.
Hold on. Let me
That's crazy because Nike be quick to drop people.
Then that's what I'm saying. She went and acted a goddamn fool and she got rewarded for it.
Yeah, I guess the tides are turning. The times are changing.
What you mean the tides are changing? The tides is the exact freaking same. And that's the problem. If the tides changed, she would have got dropped by everybody. And I heard Ryan Clark, him and them at the Pivot, they responded to it, And they always basically saying that, women hitting men is never a good thing.
Oh, no, it's not.
Right? But Ryan Clark was kind of saying like, yeah, there is a double standard. You could kind of understand it because when a man hits a woman, you could kind of you could see the difference, right? I was like, but it doesn't. But this is my thing.
Listen,
you can't.
Domestic violence on both parties is not okay.
My thing is because if he hits you back, you open him up to a world of trouble. So basically,
like Ray Rice,
right? You punch me in the face, my black eye gonna heal, right? And I can move on with my life, right? If I no, you know what I'm saying? If you hit me and I hit you back, that could ruin my entire career. Like I'm done, right? And especially if I'm a track and field star that, track and field is my life and I ain't really, fine tune the other aspects of my life. Now I'm back to square one. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care if necessarily like she pushed him and she scratched him and there was nothing really, there was no marks or anything like that left on him, the potential for life ruining consequences was there and she put him there. And then she also, while she was getting arrested, was talking all types of crazy stuff about, oh, he was doing this and he was doing that. Oh, I'm getting arrested. And she's just like basically trying to throw him under the bus too. Right. Meanwhile, he over there on the side saying like, oh, it didn't happen like that. Didn't even want to cooperate with the police. You see what I'm saying? This goes to show, I don't know.
Well, he was smart. He didn't hit her back.
Yeah, thank God.
He said, you ain't ruining my career.
But Nike really disappointed me with that. I couldn't believe that shit.
Well, maybe this is a learning curve for her, and she'll never do that again.
What did she learn? If I box somebody in the face, I could get a Nike deal.
She won't put herself in that judgment. I'm pretty sure there's a clause in that deal saying that she can't do X, Y, Z. Because a lot of these deals, they come with those types of, I don't want to say incentives, but clauses in the contract.
Well, I should make that correction. She's still sponsored by Nike, and they say that she's featured prominently on their website and stuff.
Oh, so she's been with Nike.
Yeah,
they just kept her.
They kept her.
Oh, so you got to scratch all what you just said.
No, they shouldn't have kept her. I'm just going based off of what happens to guys. That you shouldn't keep her. Shouldn't, because what lesson did she really learn? She didn't lose anything. When people of that stature, they only learn things when they lose monetary stuff. Yeah. So if she didn't lose anything.
Well, John Morant, to say he did anything.
He almost lost it all. They were getting ready to.
They kept him.
They were moments away from getting rid of him.
Yeah, and they kept him.
The NBA, he lost money in that, though. From all the suspensions and stuff like that. He lost money.
But he didn't lose deals.
And didn't he cost himself a chance at the Supermax? Because you have to play a certain amount of games.
Oh, I don't know.
Let me see that. But he lost money anyway. That's how traditionally.
But now he's a good boy. Last season you hear nothing bad about Ja. He just came to play.
Because his dad was probably like, stop messing up
Was
the
his
money,
dad
bro.
still on the stands or the sidelines?
I don't know. I don't watch Memphis games. But I know his dad is probably like, you messing up the money, bro.
Yeah, because dad's benefited from it.
Yep.
Getting to sit next to Usher and all of that. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of Random Conversations. Please like, subscribe, and follow all of our social media platforms. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram. Like he mentioned last episode, if you want us to talk about certain things, just drop it in the comment section and we'll take your word on it.
Well, we'll take it into consideration.
He's like, I don't know.
Take your word. Just send us the links and we'll look into it.
On that note, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Noel.
And thanks for watching.